Hi. I have more book recommendations today. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I called it my book recommendations part 4 because I've done this 3 times already, and now I'm doing it again because I read more this spring. So I was gonna talk about some of those books and say, do the usual stuff like say who the target audience is and say what it's about and whether I liked it or not. So here we go. Okay, this is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. Sad. Sad. Get tissues when you read this. It's about two teenagers, Theodore Finch and Violet Markey, and Theodore, who he's referred to as Finch in this, but I like the name Theodore. Um, he's always fascinated by death, and actually the description is every day he thinks of ways he might die, but every day he also searches for and manages to find something to keep him here and alive and awake. And Violet is a girl who's she's just having trouble moving on because she's grieving her sister's death, and she's blaming herself. And anyway, they meet on the bell tower of their school when this starts, about to jump, but Theodore, I'll call him Theodore. He manages to save Violet, and they go on all these journeys together and for a class, and they throughout Indiana and go on adventures. And all right, so this is a young adult book, but you don't. I'm 26 years old, so it's okay to anyone can read young adult. That's the way I see it. And this is a good book for people who are grieving a death or someone who they lost. And it's actually, God, how do I say this without spoilers? Let's just say there's some details in here about suicide, and at the end of the book, the author gives she gives an author's note about about companies to call and websites to join just for if you're dealing with suicide and some mental health issues, and just saying, talk to people. There are people out there who you can talk to if you ever have feelings like this. And this was sad, and I want to say I loved it, but it was sad. I did love it, and it was sad. I'm gonna keep it at that, actually, and I'm gonna move on to the next book. Okay, the next book is Gypped by Higgins Clark, and this is a mystery series. It's part of a mystery series, and this is number 15 in that series. The detective is Reagan Riley, so it's called a Reagan Riley mystery. And I got this at Walgreens, and it wasn't until I got home when I realized it's part of a series. But I started reading it, and I read it this spring. In fact, I got it a few years ago, but I didn't read it until this spring because I have a jar with book titles in them, so I just pulled the title out, and it's it's about a woman named Reagan who's a detective, and her husband Jack works for the NYPD, but they're on a trip in LA. And Reagan reunites with a friend named Zelda whose neighbor dies, and then Zelda falls ill, and she has, I think, 8 million. Is it? She has $8 million, and Reagan fears that it's something more sinister than food poisoning. Um, because there's I guess you could say it's a murder mystery. It's just I don't think anyone gets murdered in this. I don't remember it actually, but I kind of liked it, and I didn't think that I'd have had to find out what the other books were, or when I started reading it, there was mention of a game show like from a long time ago because that's where Reagan and Zelda met, and I guess maybe that game show might have been mentioned in another book before this, but as far as I know, I didn't really miss anything, and I didn't uh, yeah, I wasn't kind of thrown off by anything. I kind of want to get into mystery, but I want to get into standalone mystery, and this I found out was part of a series shortly after I got it, but I that didn't bother me. I didn't care. It was it read to me like a standalone. Okay, I don't know if you noticed that the lighting changed. It's just it was really dark, and I had some extra light. This book is called "I'm Having So Much Fun Here Without You," and it's by Courtney Maum. And it's about a guy named Richard who's he's English, and his wife Anne is French, and he had a affair with oh, I don't remember what her name was. He had an affair with someone, and she when he broke that off with her, he the book was about him trying to win back over the love of Anne, and I I thought it was really interesting because the book is by a female, and it's told in the first person point of view of a man, which I thought was interesting. And I'm sure that's been done several times before, though. And also, the book is about Richard trying to win over Anne's love, and it's called "I'm Having So Much Fun Here Without You." Well, I think this is Anne saying this. You've had to have read the book in order to get this. But I think it's Anne saying I'm having so much fun here without him because Anne's trying to move on, and she's trying to yeah, it's Richard trying to win her over, but Anne's trying to push him away. But I'm not going to say any more than that. But there is a I'm not going to say any more than that. And it's a good. I don't know who the target audience could be, and it's I don't know. Maybe one would be a good time to read it. Maybe spring, fall, summer. I read this earlier in the spring, and I'd say I'd say it's a good just journal book if you wanna read about like a love story in reverse. It's considered in this love story set in London and Paris. A failed monogamist attempts to answer the question: is it really possible to fall back in love with your spouse? And if I'm gonna let you find that out if you want to read this book. Okay, the next one is the Jane Austen Book Club by Karen Joy Fowler, and this is the movie version of this. I got this book at a garage sale last summer, maybe 2 summers ago, and I just finished this on Wednesday, which was 2 days ago, and it was a good book. I liked it, and it. Well, first of all, it's about 6 people, 5 women and 1 man, that form a book club discussing Jane Austen books. Because each person picks a Jane Austen book, and um, somehow their own personal lives mimic the plots of the Jane Austen books. And it's really interesting that way. I saw the movie like a long time ago, and then I found the book and picked it up, and I'm gonna try to see the movie again. And I liked this. It's it's interesting because it's several stories, sort of. I would say intertwining, but several things happen. It's not really about one specific thing except the book club because there's affairs that happen, marriages that sort of fall apart a little bit, and just family drama and things like that. And it's a good book if you like that kind of story of several things happening so much. And if you like Jane Austen too, don't forget if you're a Jane Austen fan, which I'll claim I am. I have Persuasion and Pride and Prejudice, and so I kind of that's one of the reasons I wanted to see this. Plus, I did see the movie before I saw this. I read this book, which was which was a while ago when I got the book at a garage sale a few years ago. So But yeah, I just finished it, so it's still kind of fresh in my mind. Yeah, if you like Jane Austen, then this is a good book. And I've one more, and it's Tales from My Hard Drive by Megan Karash. I'm sure you can tell. It's no doubt that it's cheesy romance, um, but regardless of that, it's about a woman who saw her husband, um, she's got a divorce from her husband. I think she lived in Los Angeles, but then she moved to New York. Yeah, and she gets a job writing for an online dating website. So or magazine, I think, and she meets this guy named Ted who's a filmmaker, but she still sort of keeps dating other people, and it's and yeah, their secrets revealed and such, and so and they get back together, and uh, Ted and Melissa, not her husband. Her husband is out of the story, out of the picture, but yeah, Ted. Yeah, it's cheesy romance book, and I was cautious about actually featuring this one on YouTube that I read it, but I liked it, and well, I know a lot of people don't read romance, um, and in fact, um, I will say that I'm putting a link down in the description by Ray K Books that because Rachel did a because I like Ray K Books, I subscribe to them. And Rachel did a little segment of the pros of why it's good to read romance books. So because of this book, I'm gonna leave that video down there in the description, as well as all the titles and things for the books I'm discussing today. So that was those were the books I read this spring. I left all the titles and the authors down there in the description, as well as the video that Ray K Books did, where she talks about not the cons but the pros of reading romance books. Because I want someone else to I want someone else to defend me here, so I'm gonna leave that video down there. And she talks about why it's good to read romance books, which not a lot of people like to read, and I was sort of cautious about. I was like, should I promote this on YouTube and should I feature it? And just I didn't. Yeah, I was thinking of not doing it. So, um, but yeah. Anyway, that's all done there in the description, and I hope to see you guys soon. Hope you subscribe too.